What's up, everybody? Thanks for listening to the Whatcast. Mike, I've got a question for you. Have you ever had or been in a life or death situation?
Like where? What do you mean by a life or death situation? Like I've been in a situation that I almost died, but not like if you're saying life or death. Like if you make one choice, you're dead. The other choice, you're not dead.
Actually, you posed a better question, but I suppose.
Okay.
So what did you think of after you almost died? Like, what state of mind? What's like the first thing you did?
Well, I was drunk at the time, so it really didn't hit home until I started to sober up, and I was like, "Fuck, man, I almost died and left my kids without a fucking dad."
Yikes.
Like that was the thing. Like just because you're a drunk idiot, you almost died.
Holy moly! You'll have to tell me that sometime.
Yeah, and just to alleviate any concerns, it wasn't a drunk driving situation. I'm not that dumb.
No, I wouldn't
it was
think
just
so.
Stupid, drunken behavior.
Right. In a lot of these cases, most commonly, people will pray, right? Humans have a natural tendency to turn to religion in times of tragedy. You ever notice that, how a traumatic experience can bring people to God or make non-believers believers, or even make someone who's turned their backs on their religion come running back to it in times of need,
But then there's also the opposite, where someone will, like blame God on their misfortune and turn their back.
That's a good point. That's kind of almost seems like an old trope. Do you think people still do that today, since there's like a higher number of atheists now than ever?
I don't know. Probably. I mean, there's probably people that go both ways still.
Right. I don't know. It just seems like two 1920s to like land on your knees and look at the sky and yell, "Why, God, why?"
Why, God? Why?
I don't think anybody's doing that now. They're probably screaming something about like skizzy and skizzles and having Riz.
Yeah. Swizzle sticks and toilets and stuff. I don't know. Fucking kids are so dumb.
Oh my God. I think when I go to the next Comic Con, I'm going to pretend to be hearing impaired, so I just don't have to speak to anybody. Like, not even when buying stuff.
Good way to go about it, man.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You just sold me. I'm doing it.
Just teach yourself sign language just so you can get away with pretending to be deaf.
Yeah, my wife knows sign language, so I'll just have her bone me up on some stuff.
There you go. Just be like, you signed to me, and I'll just nod or shake my head. Make it look legit.
Right. Oh God, it's going to be great. But we've talked about the strange things the human mind can do during a traumatic experience. One example I like to use is life after death experiences. You always said that religion plays a big part in what people hear and see during these situations.
Yeah, because I think it's all like based on their own frame of reference, So like I don't want to say that what they're seeing isn't a real experience. I think it's kind of like a comfort thing. Like it's probably like the last workings of our brain, like connecting what's going on with our human experience. So we're expecting when we die to see the tunnel of light, or to see the gates of heaven, or whatever, or if you're expecting to go to hell, you're seeing hell. However you want to, but I don't think ultimately once the moment of death is completed and your body is now dead, your soul has left, I don't think that it's like that's going to be the experience. I just think that's like your dying experience, because if you die and then you come back, you weren't really dead. You know what I'm saying? Like you died, yeah, like technically you died, but the fact that you came back means you weren't dead. You're not fucking Jesus. You're not coming back from the dead and being like, "Look, I was dead and now I'm alive." No, you flatlined and they were able to bring you back. There's a difference.
You wouldn't consider the people who have the life, well, I don't know, near death's not the same thing. Maybe that's what you're talking about, but life after death.
That's what I'm talking about, the near death experience where you have a glimpse of a potential afterlife.
Okay.
But it's not you're not actually dead. Like it would be one thing if you died and then they take you to the morgue and everything and they're embalming you. Then you're like, hey, wait a second, I'm still alive. And they're like, oh, fuck, this guy was dead and now he's alive. It's you, they were able to revive you. They were able to get your heart started again. Like if you were really dead and your soul has left the building, then them starting your heart up isn't going to bring you back. You've exited this realm of existence and you're off to a new one.
So there's like this maybe weird stasis to where your life force is retrievable, and that is a different state.
Well, I don't even think that you're like, I don't think in those experiences that the soul has actually left. I think it's your brain like preparing you for your next step in your journey. And so that's why it's drawing on your frame of reference, whatever your belief system or whatever you were taught or, whatever to believe. That's going to be what comes through because that's what's familiar to you. So like when you're in the throes of dying, your brain is producing this experience of your dying moments and what you're experiencing when you die. But you're not actually dead yet because, again, they were able to bring you back. It's not like they're the fucking Ghostbusters and they set up a ghost trap and sucked your soul back into your body.
Yeah, I always found that interesting, you talking about the frame of reference. If someone dies and is brought back to life and they start to describe a place of fire and torment ran by hideous horned and winged creatures, it would make more sense that this person grew up in a Christian household rather than hell actually being a real place that bad people go when they die. The human mind is fucking nuts. You'll remember what your mind wants to remember and what it can comprehend. If it can't make sense out of the situation, the human mind is very capable, and we've talked about this, Mike, of implanting whatever imagery that makes the most sense to the observer based on their upbringing, life experiences, and beliefs. So if you go to like the Sentinel Islands where they haven't been contacted by people, there's even more uncontacted tribes like that. If one of those people from those tribes, like a regular dude from that tribe dies and comes back to life, I don't think he's going to start talking about Jesus. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You're not going to have someone who's never had any experience with the Christian religion have an experience with the Christian heaven. Like, you're not going to see the gates of heaven. You're not going to meet St. Peter. Jesus isn't going to be there welcoming you. You don't have that frame of reference, so it's not going to happen if you have a near-death experience in a culture that doesn't have any connection to Christianity. For the same reason that you or I aren't going to have a experience with some indigenous deity when we die, because we don't even know who that deity is. So why would we have that experience with them when we die? We don't have that frame of reference.
Right. And in that state, our mind's going to put whatever the fuck will make sense anyway. So it'll bring up your, even if you don't practice your religion, as a kid, that's going to be your reference. If you think you were bad when you died, hell's going to look like the traditional Christian hell, or whatever religion that your bottom's version of hell, But what if I were to tell you of an incident where I believe religion may have masked one of the strangest mass sightings of an unknown being ever recorded?
Is this like the dancing sun that we talked about, where religion covered up a UFO event with an alleged miracle?
Well, see, this is more people's belief system may have covered up something a little bit more strange that was going on.
All right, let's hear it.
In 2011, the 7th largest tornado ever fucking recorded by humans fell upon the Joplin area of Missouri. A Category 5 tornado, a class so destructive and powerful it also goes by the finger of God, had erased entire neighborhoods and killed over 160 people, injured over 1,000 more, and caused over $3 billion in damage in just 38 minutes.
38 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Damn.
That's how powerful it was. The tornado came so fast that some people didn't even have time to seek shelter. There were people literally caught outside during this storm. From what I understand, there was a thunderstorm in a few different areas, and two of those cells joined together, and this big tornado was born. But what makes the tragedy take a turn for the weird is that
it was a Tasmanian devil, wasn't it?
a 20-foot tall. After the tornado, children from all over the affected areas reported seeing what they called butterfly people during the tornado.
How many people?
Well, this story, it gets interesting because there's only a few people who have gone on, well, not gone on record. I'm sure if somebody digs into this more, other people will say what they saw and give their names, but a lot of these stories come from word of mouth of people gathering after this event and telling their stories of survival and all that stuff, and just sharing stories of what they witnessed. But there's a bunch of mainly children who reported seeing this. But there are a couple of people on record. One of the more well-known stories is that a mother and her 4-year-old daughter, and I will say, if you guys look this up, and I'm leaving stuff out for you guys to read more on if you like this story. There's plenty of other examples you can check out. But a lot of like genders have been switched because it's been retold so many times, but in one of the more popular stories is that a mother and her 4-year-old daughter found themselves stuck in their car when the tornado hit them. And as it got worse, the mother realized that they couldn't stay in the car and remain safe at all, so they needed to seek shelter, and they needed to do that right now. So she grabbed the little girl, and they ran to see what type of shelter they could find or whatever hiding place they could find. And just then, she heard the sound of her car sliding across the road, and she turned to see that her car was now airborne and was heading right for her and her daughter. So with little time to react, she grabbed her daughter and turned away to shield her daughter with her body and just basically waited for impact. But it didn't happen. The car rolled away in a different direction at the absolute last second. And after they got to safety, her daughter asked her mom, weren't they beautiful? Weren't they pretty? And her mother asked her, who? And she told her the butterfly people. And she explained that people with the wings of butterflies flew in front of them and shielded them with their wings from the car. The car had not just simply rolled away into a different direction, but it bounced off their butterfly wings. And she also said that she saw some of these butterfly people lifting people up into the sky.
So other people were also saved then?
Yes.
I think I remember hearing this story.
Yeah, it was familiar to me, but I decided I came across it recently and wanted to dig into how serious it got. What brought my attention to this is somebody had posted something about a documentary about this tornado being made and them not mentioning this at all.
But yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So did they, when she was describing them, was she saying they looked like regular people? They just had butterfly wings?
There's a lot of different descriptions, and that's where the belief stuff comes in, which we'll get into. But the most common thing is that they're normal, beautiful people, some in robes, but they have butterflies' wings.
So like your typical like medieval depictions of an angel, but with butterfly wings instead of feathery bird wings.
Yes.
Or maybe like giant fairies.
There you go. There you go.
It's almost like they're one and the same.
We're going to like where this goes. They even have like a memorial mural in Joplin, and on it has basically like little basic testimonials or other sightings of these butterfly people, which if they have that up, I'm surprised that documentary didn't mention it. One of them is a godfather was doing some farm work outside with two of his grandchildren, and they were quickly overtaken by the winds of the tornado, so fast, in fact, that the only thing that they could do was get on their hands and knees and grab the fucking grass and hope that they didn't fly away. And the winds left as soon as they came. And when the grandfather checked on the two kids, they were bewildered. The winds were so strong, it's noted that the soles of some of their shoes were ripped off. And the kids didn't give a shit about that. They were not concerned with the tornado. They had said that there were butterfly men that landed on them when they were huddled and covered them with their wings and made them feel protected.
So it wasn't just that they stood in front of them, like they actually made them feel the protection?
Yes, and that's actually mentioned a couple times. This is the second group of kids. I had to leave some fucking out because there's so many of these little stories, little tales of things happening with these butterfly people. Another one tells of a 4-year-old found trapped in a car all alone and with no family in sight. And they noted that every window in this car was smashed, every single one. And the inside of the car was littered with debris from outside. And they couldn't believe it because this little baby had not one scratch, not one injury on her at all. And it didn't make sense because the car was destroyed. When asked why she didn't get hurt, how she didn't get hurt, she said that a butterfly man came in and again wrapped his wings around her and made her feel safe.
So it's almost like they've got some sort of like comforting aura about them.
Yes.
Because I mean, think about it this way: if you were in a really tense situation and some fucking crazy creature came and wrapped itself around you, you'd freak the fuck out. You know, you're not going to be like, oh, look at this abomination just wrapping its wings around me. How pretty. I feel so good. No, you'd be like, oh, fuck. I just avoided death by car crushing, and now I got some alien monster wrapping its arms around me. Fuck out of here.
100%. You're absolutely right. And they describe them as being beautiful. And they have that presence. And we can get into that now a little bit. When you look this up, you'll find another name for the story, and it's called the Joplin Angels. There's one of the stories I'll cut into the ones I was telling now, because this is somebody who they got the names of this. There's other people who witnessed this incident, but not the butterfly people, but dealt with these people. Mason Lillard and Larg Gribsby went to Home Depot with their grandparents. And the grandmother and the kids stayed in the car while the grandpa went inside. And they were suddenly hit by this tornado. And the tornado was so strong that the Home Depot completely collapsed. The roof caved in and the walls gave out. And luckily, the grandpa was able to make it out. He worked his way out of there. And he found that the car that the family was in had been thrown something like 300 meters, something ridiculous. And Mason, she was injured gravely. She had been impaled by a piece of metal. So they took them to the hospital. And when they got there, Larg had a pretty bad head injury, so they worked on him and they stabilized him. But from what I understand, Mason was in such bad shape that she was immediately brought to the morgue.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And there was a nurse that had come in on a whim. She was off, but she heard about the tornado and figured they needed her help. And just by chance, her first stop was to the morgue. And she saw that there was such a young person on the table there. She put her hand on her arm, and that's when Mason kind of jerked up and screamed in pain. So they got her into an operating room and cleaned her up, and she was able to recover.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And when they asked her what had happened, she said that, it's been reported that it was inside the car or outside the car, but there's a quote from her saying that she thought it was Larg doing this to her. But there was one report, so I heard it was definitely outside the car after she'd received this injury, but there was all of a sudden two people, one with brown hair, one with blonde hair, and they were in rows, and they had butterfly wings. And they put their hand on her shoulder and told her that she was going to be okay. And then she passed out. And she calls them her angels. That's what she calls them. But we'll get into what we think about that. Yet another one of these stories is it's a young girl who was carried away by the tornado, the winds of the tornado. She actually flew up into the sky. And she suddenly stopped from flying in the sky and was brought back to the ground. When she was grabbed, they told her, what happened? And she says, a butterfly man came, wrapped me with his wings, and flew me back down to the ground and told me everything would be okay.
When like she's saying it actually spoke to her?
Yes, sir, and she is not the only one.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a mental connection thing, like it's actually speaking. Interesting.
Yeah. One little girl said her and her dad were trapped in their car as the tornado passed almost directly ahead of them. And she said that suddenly, quote, 2 little fairies appeared and stayed with them while the tornado passed overhead.
So like they like almost like little cheerleaders, like, hey, you'll be okay. Hang in there, champ.
Yeah, and when you get into the details of this, that's how all of these, each one of these entities present that, and some say that.
I wonder what why they came, like, it's almost like the tornado brought them.
It almost seems like they have a specific purpose related to this tornado. They're made for this tornado. It's very weird, huh?
Or I wonder, like, if this tornado, it was so historically big, like, what if it was like a connection point between two different planes of reality, and where that opened, just this energy rushed out, creating this massive tornado, and then the beings from the other side are like, oh shit, we got to save as many people as possible.
Right.
We just fucked up big time.
It could be. I mean, F5 tornado. I mean, it's from what I understand, they measure these things by like destruction almost, you know? And this is literally, they call them, if you guys are old enough to watch that movie Twister, this is that finger of God tornado that just destroys, there's everything in its path. Literally whole neighborhoods were erased. If you look this up, you can find an awful lot of heartbreaking news interviews with people who survived. And it's just, you know, it's not that their house is destroyed. Everything, it's gone. There's nothing to salvage. It's disappeared. There's a foundation on the floor now.
That's so terrifying, man. Like, I think I've talked on the show about how, you know, when we've talked about weather patterns changing, and how around here, like last year, for instance, we had 7 tornadoes touch down in the span of 2 weeks. And typically we don't have tornadoes at all. So it was pretty alarming to have that many tornadoes come through here. And luckily they weren't big time tornadoes where, you know, they're ripping up houses and killing people left and right. I think there was only 1 or 2 people that died. And I don't mean to say only, because it's, you know, I know it's somebody dying, but considering the fact that we had so many touching down, and really all that happened was a lot of people lost power and some buildings got damaged. There wasn't wholesale destruction and people's lives being upended and everything. It was just more a matter of inconvenience, where you couldn't drive down certain streets because trees fell down, or you were without, like, I think I was without power for a day. I don't think it was even a full day. But living in an area where it doesn't happen, it was fucking terrifying. So I can't even imagine if something like that were to sweep through, where it's just fucking lifting up cars and tossing them around and tearing down buildings. Like, that is so fucking scary.
Absolutely. I couldn't imagine. Hey, we're going to cut in real quick here, guys. We're going to cut in here. We forgot to do this at the beginning, but we have been made aware. We're going to do a fucking ad for ourselves. How stupid. We've been made aware that a lot of you guys listen to us on Spotify, and our publishing company puts ads in our show. And then I was made aware that on top of that, Spotify puts ads on top of that. So you guys are being bombarded by ads. Now, believe it or not, we put the least amount of number of ads in our show that our contract with our publisher allows. There's been a lot of goofy shit going on with that. But yeah, we kind of don't like that. We never liked having the ads. So we made a $2 tier on our Patreon. If the ads really bother you, we made it as cheap as Patreon would allow us to, from what I understand. $2 will get you guys ad-free episodes of the podcast. And we wanted to say sorry for all the fucking ads. I don't know. we weren't made aware of how many listens or any of that shit we get on Spotify. And I got an email out of the blue, and it was like, "Hey, you have a new comment." And there had been tons of comments on episodes. So thank you to all you guys for all the nice comments, and just know that I'm getting back to all those now. I don't know why I don't remember signing up for putting our show on Spotify, to be honest with you. So I mean,
I think our publisher just did that for us.
Yeah, I think it automatically did, but since they did it, I didn't get emails for it. But for some reason, one day I just got an email. It's like, you have 127 messages you needed. I was like, whoa. But yeah, there's a good buddy of ours on there listens and brought it to our attention that it's our ads that our publisher puts on, plus the ads Spotify puts on if you don't pay for that shit. So if you don't want to fucking listen to ads, just remember that the $2 tier is there, and you can listen to all the ad-free shit without annoying interruptions.
Yeah. And if you're, feeling like you want to throw in a little more, we've got other tiers as well. I think a $5 tier will give you extra audio content that we release every month and give you access to our monthly meetups. And we've got a sticker club, and then a super secret print club where you get limited artwork every month delivered to your face.
Yeah, and just as a little inside information, I had a catastrophe happen with our printer. I got a fancy printer to do the prints, and I had to get new ink. I got new ink. That's $90. It was expired. They wouldn't let me return it. I spent another $90 on ink, and it was expired. So I hand drew the last prints. They're all hand drawn and inked by me.
See that? Now's the time before he fixes shit. Before he fixes his printer, you can get handmade artworks.
That you could
go to Patreon. Go. You know you want to. Give us the dollars.
Again, sorry for all the ads. Yeah, just remember that that's there if it drives you nuts. That's got to be a lot of ads. I'm old. I don't like ads. It drives me nuts.
I wouldn't even listen to our show if that was the case. I'd be like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Capitalist pigs. Go suck a dick.
Yeah, it's not our fault. We fucking literally put down.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
We got a fucking stern email about breach of contract and shit. So we're like, oh,
yeah,
right.
I know, but we
try to stick it to the man as long as we can.
Yeah. So sorry guys, but if it really bugs you and you want to continue to support us, 2 Bones will do it, and we do really appreciate it.
Yeah,
especially because we don't know how much longer we're going to be able to post to YouTube as well, which is a whole other thing, but it is what it is. Patreon.com/thewhatcast. That's patreon.com/thewhatcast. It's spelled just like it sounds.
It's true. Now back to Butterfly People. They're did I tell you about
I hope
sheriff?
You enjoyed that ad.
Oh, yeah.
On top of, they probably broke up our ad with another ad.
Oh, I'm sure.
So people would get. Yeah. What a pain in the dick. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh God, that would be infuriating. I need to start playing the lotto or something so we can just say fuck all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone out there that's listening is a millionaire and you want us to open up a special tier just for you on Patreon where you give us $1 million, we will do that. Just let us know. And you will get Mateo shark fucking videos delivered directly to your email instead of having to go on OnlyFans.
Yeah, and that's all the AI stuff. I'll give you the real stuff for $1 million.
Yeah. So, help us out. We would certainly appreciate that. We will gladly accept your $1 million. Thank you in advance.
All right, back to Butterfly People. A sheriff found a 6-year-old boy in a field 6 miles from his home, and when he was asked how he got there, he said an angel brought him there. To keep him safe. A mother took her 7 children and hid in their closet when the tornado hit their house. And when they were getting into the closet, the mother turned with the children and looked up because they heard a terrible noise and they saw the roof rip right off. And after everything had calmed down, they emerged from the closet and found that nothing of their house existed anymore except the closet they were in. And the children, all 7, said that they saw a beautiful woman in a robe with butterfly wings hold the roof together as they got into the closet.
So everyone here is experiencing the same sort of beings, and they're all... Is there any connection between any of these witnesses, or are they all completely independent of one another?
These are supposedly all different people from around the area, that all different victims of this tornado.
And it's not just one guy calling in and being like, yes, I was saved by angels. And then another guy calls it, yeah, I had angels save me. And then another guy, there were angels that saved my life. I swear to God.
Well, I don't know. Like that.
It wasn't a situation like that where it's just...
I don't think so. You know, I think it comes from word of mouth from the people that living there going through it, just like the people in Point Pleasant did with Mothman. And, you know, it just got around. For the people there to have a memorial with testimonies of the sightings of these things speaks volumes to me. I think they take it serious. The town ornates itself with butterflies. Everything's butterflies. I found an interview with a young girl who went through the tornado and was actually impaled through her leg by a big piece of debris. And it really messed her up. It took a long time for her to get better, but when she did, she cannot go outside without being swarmed by butterflies. Like they capture it on film while they're with her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They show her social media and every day is a different butterfly that lands on her, you know? So there's weird things here that are going on that you can see, you know, there's a few YouTube videos you can watch. There's plenty of writing on it. Like I said, the details vary wildly, but, it's just such a strange thing. All the same thing. The little fairies one is weird, and it gets weirder. A little boy named Eli was found under the rubble of his house, which had completely caved in and collapsed on the poor little guy. And when he was discovered by rescue workers, he was wrapped up like a burrito, they say, in a thick green carpet. The funny thing about this is that the family had no fucking idea where this carpet came from. It did not belong to them. They asked their neighbors. They had no idea where this carpet came from. The boy said that butterfly people came, wrapped him in the carpet like that, like a burrito, to keep him safe. Pastor Warmoth, he and a few people were taking refuge in the church when all 4 walls of the church collapsed, trapping everyone in there. After a few minutes, 6 very large, quote, men came in and lifted the walls and let the people in the church and the pastor escape. And when they got escaped, the 6 large men said they had other people to help and left.
Did these large men have butterfly wings, or were they just like ridiculously large?
There was no mention of that. They were ridiculously large.
So just large men lifting the walls.
Mm-hmm. And when the rescuers got there, they were confused because there's no way that even 6 large men would be able to do that. They had to be way big men. And everybody there corroborated the same story. 6 very, very, very large men came in, pushed the walls back to where they should be. And it's another thing that's happening here, if you're noticing. They're able to do things that seem to be impossible, applicable in theory.
Yeah, I mean, if walls caved in and then these guys just show up and they're like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll put it right back to the way it was.
Yeah, and it's weird though, right?
That's not how architecture works.
You know, it has this weird feel, like you said, like they're made for it. Like these walls need to be up, so I'm going to do something that symbolizes these walls being up. I can do something that's impossible to hold up the walls because that specifically needs to happen right now. The other one with the people in the closet, the roof blowing off and it appearing holding 2 sides of the roof so that they can get into there. It's doing something that doesn't make physical or structural sense. You can't just grab 2 sides of a roof to stop it from flying off. But somehow these weird ass beings are able to do this.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a weird time thing, like where they like reverse the time somehow. Like they touch the object and the object is like they reverse the time around the object so that even though all the people are still in there present, the architecture reverts back to the way it was just before the collapse.
Maybe. One of the last ones that I have written down here is there's reportedly a nurse that worked at a hospital, and she claimed that she saw the butterfly people bring into the hospital. She saw butterfly people standing next to people who were passing away. Anytime that they were asked anything, they just said that they needed to go help more people. Other people reported seeing butterfly people helping rescue people, digging through rubble, finding people and taking them up to the sky.
Were the people that were taken up to the sky seen again? Was anyone reported missing afterwards?
I don't know. And from what I understand, it was just like a person. Nobody like got to see a face. Somebody, who knows if it was their physical body? I don't know. It's I have to stress. There's a lot of these are coming from stories from people. I don't know who's done all the interviewing for this. This case is old now. So I don't know if somebody went in there, or like a Nick Redfern went in there to go talk to these people to get their stories. But to me, it's the most organic way for the story to be born.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, I've heard of like people having angelic encounters, like when an accident happens, but it's usually like centered around one or two people that are together. But this is like the entire area is being saved by these beings in the wake of a historic tornado.
Right. And again, only children mostly are seeing this. And even the case of some of these kids, the parents, like the grandpa on the farm that they were doing farm work outside, the kids told him, "You didn't fucking see this thing?" And he said, "No, there was nothing here." And they're like, "You didn't see the big old man with butterfly wings put his arms around us and have his wings cocoon us and around from the storm."
So what did the adults experience in that case?
Nothing. They just sat there like they couldn't see what was happening. It was still windy as fuck. They just didn't get hurt. So this made me think of something else. Another winged fellow that is supposedly known for possibly helping people. Do you know who that is, Mike?
Is it the Mothman?
Yes, sir. There's a lot of talk about Mothman being on that bridge to be scary, to keep people off the Silver Bridge, so that didn't happen. There's even another case, Mike. I don't know if we've covered this. The Freeburg Screecher. Have you heard of that?
I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar.
I believe it was in the 50s. Again, I want to do a quick and the weird on this, so I'll just go over it briefly. But it was a mine, and I think it was the 50s, or it could be 75. I'm sorry, I'm bad with numbers. I have to remember them in a weird way. But there was a big mine that people worked at, went to every day. And as the miners reached the site, there was an 8-foot tall dark figure standing in front of the entrance to the cave. And one of the cavers began to approach the being to, tell it to get the fuck out of there so they can go to work. And he noticed that what he thought that were big boots on were actually draping wings. And as he got closer, it opened these giant wings and let out a horrible screech that sounded, get this, like train stopping mixed with the sounds of multiple men screaming. So they got the fuck out of there. And they went back a few times, and it was still standing in front of the mine, not allowing them to gain entry. And that went on for so long that they decided to do outside work of the mine and clean shit up. And sometime during the day, the entire mine collapsed. And if anybody was in there, they would have been beyond any type of help. And all the miners would have died. And as they reached the mine to check out the damage, there was no more Screecher around after that. So we have these figures that seem to help. Mothman, the Screecher, the Blackbird of Chernobyl we can even talk about. But these are awful looking things. These are scary creatures. Mothman, you guys might like the cartoons and all the fucking plushies, but there's not a person that described as Mothman as having a fucking head. His eyeballs are in his chest. He's, a blemie, weird
yeah,
looking,
but strangely enough, the fucking statue in Point Pleasant gives him butterfly wings and makes him have a head like a nihilist.
It sure does. It sure does give him butterfly wings. But again, these things are ugly looking things that seem to be doing something that's positive. It's do you think these are the anti-Mothman or the Mothman and Blackbird of Chernobyl and the Screecher just rogue entities that come from a dark side or dark place that are doing good? It almost seems like you said, the whole thing leads me to a question I have for you. And that's why I'm saying religion might be masking this whole case here. This is in Missouri. It's a very religious place. Very religious place. It's a place that practices the same religion. There were people who saw these things that they reported that were not of Christian domination, and they still saw them. There's people that didn't practice religion, and they witnessed these things. What they're describing here, and I love their feelings. I'm glad these people were okay. I'm glad they were saved. But if we have to look at this objectively here, these are clearly not angels. I don't care if they have a robe. I don't care if they're beautiful and have long hair. I don't remember any Bible describing any angels as having butterfly wings, and that's the one fucking consistent thing through all of these stories.
I wonder if it's like, rather than being butterfly wings, if it was more like colors that were kind of emanating from them. And since they're little kids, like, they were able to associate it with butterflies because, butterflies have colorful wings.
It almost made me think about the little mince pie Martians, how they had those oval-shaped wings that had different spots of light on it in color.
Yeah, I thought of that as well.
Right. After reading all that, I was like, hold on a minute. Maybe we shouldn't be calling these the angels of Joplin. They have butterfly wings. One little girl reported tiny fairies. The pastor reported giant men, and that's the only description I got out of them. But if they had butterfly wings, I'm sure they would have included that. So it seems like there's a few different things going on there. But since the over-religious area, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, I'm just saying that's a very religious place, they're automatically tying it to angels, and I think they're doing themselves a disservice. They might have like a white magic Mothman flying around there.
Yeah, I think, again, like we were talking earlier, it's all about the context that you give it. Like, you could, if you were to have, like, say, some lights in the sky along with this event, it would be fucking aliens. No doubt in my mind. People would be like, we were saved by aliens. But then if you were to maybe change the location to Scotland or England and go back in time 200-300 years, it would be fairies. No doubt in anyone's mind. These are fucking fairies that saved us all. It's all based on where it comes from. If it was in the Middle East 500 years ago, it'd be the jinn that came out.
Yeah, huh?
It's all the same shit, dude. I've been saying it all along. It might as well have been fucking Bigfoot.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.